How are we this morning?
Good morning. Well.
Good. I hope your weekend was good. I want you to enter the classroom and I want you to choose a partner to work in with today, and then I want you to sit with your partner at the table, and that will be your group. So come on in, choose your partner and sit down at the table in your group. So you two partners? Yeah. And you two partners? Yep. Okay, great. You guys are fine over there? Alright, great. So, how is everyone? Good? Good? Yes? Awesome. So I'm going to quickly call the roll. So is Eamon here?
Yeah.
Great. Tim?
Yep.
Joanne?
Yep.
Ellen?
Yep.
Great. That is a full class. So we're quickly going to discuss last week's homework because today's class is on Aboriginal spirituality, and the work I asked you to do for homework is going to really help you to analyse the sources that we're going to be using today. So last week's homework, I asked you to go to the library and look through 2 books and to answer a few sentences on what is Aboriginal culture. And so did everyone do their homework?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Did anyone have any difficulties with the homework? Everyone was able to do it? Great? Okay, good. So, does anyone want to volunteer to read out what they wrote? Yes, Tim? So, Jennifer, this is where the students would read out their homework. I'd have at least 2 or 3 students read out the homework. Alright, that was great, Ellen. Like Tim said before, Aboriginal spirituality embodies a unique connection between the people and the land. And that is something that we're really going to look at in today's class, that connection, the sort of inextricable link between the people and the land. Does anyone know what inextricable means?
Sort of like not separable.
Yes. So they're connected in a very unique way. They embody the same elements and they can't be separated. So the people and the land, they have this special and unique connection that some other religions or way of life do not have. So this is going to be explored in a station rotation in today's class. There are 3 stations. The first one at this table is Aboriginal art and spirituality. The second one is Aboriginal Dreamtime and spirituality. And the third one is Aboriginal culture and spirituality. And so you're going to have 12 minutes at each station, and you're going to have to answer a few questions with your partner, and then there'll be one question that you discuss in your group. And so maybe spend about 4 minutes or so on each question, and then I'm going to let you know when it's time to get up and move to the next station, and you'll rotate around the room. Does everyone understand? Okay, awesome. So let's get started. So write down the first question in your workbook, and then start discussing with your partner. This is when the students would start doing their station rotation, and I would walk around the room and help facilitate discussion or answer questions or give help if needed. So how's this table going? You guys are doing Aboriginal art and spirituality.
That's right.
Yeah, you going all right?
Yep.
What question are you on?
3.
On this one here?
Question 2.
Question 2. So, Eamon, can you read that question aloud?
Art is the voice of particular beliefs and values. Drawing from prior knowledge, what Aboriginal beliefs and values can be seen in the sources?
Okay. So, what were you guys discussing? Do you have any idea on what these sources say about Aboriginal beliefs and
They
values?
say that Aboriginal culture is very visual and very oral. in source 1, there's a picture of the people and the sort of I can't pronounce that word, and how that sort of event shaped their knowledge and understanding and their history within their particular people.
What is that picture about?
It's a story which tells the awakening of a creature called I can't pronounce that word.
That's all right. I also don't really know the translation for it, but I would just say that it's Nagalyod.
And it tells like how a group of young mothers had given their children the wrong food, and the children became sick and cried incessantly. And hearing this noise, the Ngalod came out of the ground and ate everyone, men, women, and babies.
Okay, so
and it's depicted in this particular painting.
So, is this picture showing that if like someone does something wrong or acts
I guess there'd be a lesson that would come out from it.
Yeah, there's a consequence.
Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, so that's a really good point, Aileen. So it shows that the Aboriginal people have a great respect for consequence.
In the land.
Yeah. Oh, consequence of action,
Yeah.
of treatment of the land and so forth. What does this source tell us?
I don't know. I think it looks something like a map, because it looks like there's sort of trails and there's. Is this campfires?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just sort of thought maybe it's like the picture is more an illustration of the land that a particular tribe might have sort of power over. Is that right?
Yes. That's a really good point, Tim. I think that the quote in the question, art is the voice of particular beliefs and values. This is a really good example of that, because this artwork is showing someone's home, and it shows like some of their values and beliefs. It shows animal tracks, and it shows fire. So it shows that campfires are an important part of Aboriginal culture and things like that. And there's a lot you can draw out of these sources. And yeah, so is there anything else that anyone can say about how art portrays particular beliefs and values? No.
Well, it seems like because the Aboriginal people didn't really, they sort of, their history is more of like an oral one than sort of pictures and pictures and whatnot can sort of help to convey these stories and beliefs and values, because rather than like a writing system, they use these sort of artworks to help to teach the story of the dream to the next generation of Aboriginal people.
Yeah. So it's sort of their way of depicting history.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some ways that other religions or way of life would document their history?
The Bible,
Yes.
the Quran.
So written text.
Yeah, written text.
There's using narrative and law.
Yeah.
What about song?
Yeah.
Or
Even just like passing down stories.
Yeah, like oral
traditions.
yeah. So what are some other ways that the Aboriginal people convey their history? Or
Dance,
yeah,
robbery, stuff like that.
yeah, they have a lot of rituals that they use to demonstrate their beliefs and their values and their culture. And so, tying this all in together, what does it say about people and culture? culture? Does it say that they're sort of distinct, separate?
No, it says that they're very intertwined, interconnected with sort of the people, the land, and the story,
Yes.
which makes up their living culture.
Yes. All right, you guys are getting off to a great start. I want you now to discuss question 3 in your group, and then it's nearly time to go on to the next station. So now we'll go on to the next station, and we will be discussing Aboriginal spirituality and culture. All right. Alright guys, so you are at your last station. How's it going? Yeah?
Good, yeah.
Do you feel like the other stations have helped you to analyse these sources? Yeah. I have one question for you. I heard you were discussing like the customs seen in these last 2 sources. We see ritual, dance, body paint. We see the making of musical instruments. But I really wanted to ask you how these images are adapting to modernity.
Yeah, 101.
Yeah.
That guy would normally be wearing that shirt.
What kind of shirt is it?
It's a tie-dye floral sort of shirt.
Okay, so what?
And there's also a fence in the background, a little fence.
Okay, so in their traditional practice, they wouldn't have had a tie-dye t-shirt or a metal fence, or maybe they wouldn't have been, performing this in sort of an arena designed specifically for ritual. And so how does modernity affect their practices? Do you think that it matters, or do
I
you
think it changes it somewhat.
in what way?
In the sense that, like, some of their ritual practice will be changed just a little bit than what they were before, which makes their culture somewhat diluted.
Do you think that modernity is sort of helping, or not helping, it's developing their way of life in a positive way?
I think it's like it's manipulating their way of life, but they're still sort of keeping part of their own history and tradition. Like with the man, as Eamon said, he's wearing a tie-dye shirt, but he's still carving the didgeridoo in sort of traditional ways. And it's sort of like this balance of old and new. It's sort of trying. That's how the Aboriginal people are keeping alive their stories and streaming in the 21st century.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great point, Tim. So, for our task that we'll be doing after the station rotation, we'll be discussing the differences and the commonalities between Aboriginal spirituality and another religion or another way of life, such as Christianity or Judaism or whatnot. So, can you see anything in these sources that make Aboriginal spirituality sort of a really distinct way of life, as opposed to other forms of life that have adopted modernity into their structure?
You should point out, like this map here, that there are about 260 different dialect nations, and like if it was a modern sort of thing that just is for one, sort of national country, but they've got these different dialects, these different sort of nations, like we've got the Aurora nation in Sydney, that sort of thing, and that's sort of keeping their culture intact.
Yeah. Well, can you read out that quote?
The real diversity of Aboriginal religious belief and practices means that one has to be cautious about generalising about Australian Aboriginal religion as though it were all of a piece.
Okay. So we would finish the station rotation, and then I would scaffold the comparison activity where they compare and contrast Aboriginal spirituality to another way of life or religion, and then I would give the students their homework and sort of recap on today's lesson. So thank you, class. You've been great today.
Good.